When I started this channel, I didn't think I'd do a video series like this, but I've fallen even more in love with Street Fighter 6. Rashid has been around for almost a month now, and he's become easily my favorite character in the game. I'm not one to like ranked mode much, but he got me interested in trying it out. While I was climbing the ranked ladder, I noticed some things that I wanted to talk about from my experience on the way up. This is not a guide so much as it is an overview of Rashid, hence the title, Master's Overview. In this series, I'll go over in-depth 5 categories to rank a character's attributes and give a total score by the end. The 5 categories are Power, Defense, Versatility, Development Potential, and Fun Factor. Some of these are obviously subjective, but I'll try to be as unbiased as I can, aside from Fun Factor. That one's for me, so do with that what you will. And with all of that out of the way, let's get into it.
Welcome to the stream! Simple and clean.
Power is the first category we'll talk about, and it's an interesting one for Rashid. Off of regular hits, he's really not that crazy of a character. Normal hits grant him average damage, he's got great confirms for drive rushes at pretty much any range, but the damage isn't much to write home about. The biggest upside to his offense is how amazing his Okizeme is off of knockdowns. We'll get into that later, but if we're talking about power, his best combo starters are easily his fireballs, which enhance pretty much everything he has in some way or another. But basically, if you're looking to play a hard hitter, Rashid definitely is not that, unless your opponent can't figure out how to deal with his fireball. So, all in all, I'd give him a B for power. The hits themselves are substantial, and there's few low damage characters in this game to begin with, so B is pretty fair. He does have A+ combo starters, but they're hard to come by in an actual match. Power isn't necessarily his strong suit, but it's not his worst category. Defense is next, and it's definitely where Rashid is weakest. He's got relatively stubby buttons, really bad anti-air options, and a weirdly specific reversal. Even his level 3 has slow startup, making it hard to use as an anti-air if that input accidentally comes out. But, with all that said, he's got maybe the only special move anti-air that hits opponents who have crossed him up, and a great level 1 reversal that switches sides and has a big enough hitbox enough that it can trade with projectiles. On top of that, he's got an air throw that's an awesome tool for keeping people in the corner or contesting dive kicks. Lastly, his dash speed with a cancelable low forward makes his active defense something to be afraid of. So while, yes, he's weakest in terms of his defense, I don't think he has a particularly hard time or anything. He's just not amazing defensively. A character who is this oppressive having an OD reversal is probably more than anyone could ask for anyway. With that said, I'd say he gets a C in defense. It's passable, but could be improved in some parts that would go a long ways. Once again, not that he needs it.
Rashid wins! Check this out. Now you try. Do this, and this, and this. It's easy as pie.
Versatility is where Rashid truly starts to shine in my opinion. This guy has everything you could ask for. Cancelable low forward, a fireball, safe on block advancing specials, great Oki options, anti-projectile moves, plus on block buttons, throw loops, safe jumps, 50-50 mix, and pretty much everything else. Because of this versatility, he's got good options against most of the casts that make him a problem for them. A great example of this is his mobility paired with the enhancements from his fireballs makes him a nuisance from Orisa to deal with. Or against JP, who was considered one of the best in the game by many, Rashid can use a meaty fireball setup to beat OD amnesia and level 1 reversals, meaning JP has to take the mix to some extent. On top of that, his level 2 super is another tool that makes his options incredibly varied and even scarier than they already were. For example, when the opponent is burnt out, they have almost no way to deal with the incoming mix-up and chip damage, making it a fantastic checkmate tool. When they do have drive gauge, Rashid can still use it for potent mix. Shimmies, parry baits, overhead low 50-50s, and side switches are all on the table, including the fact that the tornado enhances Rashid's movement and damage. The options available from the super are insane, and it's possibly my favorite super in the whole game as of recording this. So yeah, with this in mind, I'd have to give Rashid a top score in versatility since he's got a little bit of everything. As far as I can tell, I would give him an S given everything I've mentioned. There's pretty much no downsides to playing Rashid if you want someone who can contest at good ranges, has a good tool for every situation, and allows players to really show off their unique style while fighting.
I summon you! Great Desert Storm! Gotcha! Where'd you go? KO! Rashid wins! Alright, now, give it more snap! My moves sure are cool! You for real? Yeah! Nice! Alright, you got it!
To piggyback off of the versatility, the next stat is development potential. This is pretty similar to versatility, but there's a bit more to it in my opinion. Characters in Street Fighter 6 are much more versatile than they've been in previous games, which has led to more evened out matchups across the board. But even in just the first 2 months since the game's release, a lot has changed. I want to talk about the character's ability to develop new tech, optimal combo routes, and maybe even tactics in a matchup. This will also have to do with if I feel like the character's current moveset can carry them to wins now, or if they might need new tools as the game progresses. In the case of Rashid, he's got the second most potential I've seen in all the characters that I've played so far. He's got incredible mix-up potential, safe jumps off of every other knockdown, and it's easy to mix and match all of these things to keep opponents on their toes. He's only a few weeks old as of right now, so his development potential is definitely higher than it will be in a few months, but I will say that Rashid can do well in a long set at high level. There's plenty of characters that struggle the longer a set goes because of just how they're designed, and I usually deem those to have lower development potential. Rashid is extremely freeform and has the versatility to evolve as the game evolves. For example, we saw how powerful perfect parries are when used by someone like Kakeru, but Rashid actually can deal with that if he gets the right setups. As the game develops, I think Rashid will too, so I'll give him an A for potential. For this one, only time will tell, so I'm curious to see what Rashid will look like in 6 months or a year from now.
Easy win! Ooh, this feels awesome! You should try it! Predictable! Predict this! Huh?
And now we get to my favorite statistic, fun factor. I don't have too much more to say about Rashid objectively anymore, but I will say I love his game plan. Enhancing his movement and using Yasar Wind to checkmate my opponent has been nothing but satisfying. I personally also love air throws, so Rashid having one makes me extremely happy to be able to mess around with it. His air movement has somewhat turned me into a jerk who enjoys scummy mind games that I would have complained about in Street Fighter 5. For example, just jumping back in the corner to bait people into thinking I'll go off the wall and using that to escape from the corner. I know I'm not a good person for it, but I cannot deny how fun it is. Everything about Rashid is satisfying and fun to do, so for me, I'd rank him as an S for fun factor. Part of this comes from how much more interesting he is than he was in Street Fighter 5, but most of it is because he alone revitalized my love for setup characters. Capcom is really on a hot streak with this one. On the road to Master, I had fun in most matchups. Nothing at the Diamond level felt too confusing to me, and I was able to achieve the rank with an 82% win rate, which is kind of nuts. Part of that is because he's a DLC character and new to the roster, so I could use some gimmicks, but towards the end, I had to play more and more honest. It's easy to become overly reliant on some gimmicks and tricks, so I'm sure there's a lot of Rashid players who have fallen into that trap. All in all, Rashid seems to have the tools to become a very strong character in Street Fighter 6, which is already a greatly balanced game. I'm not saying he'll be top tier, but I wouldn't be surprised to see him win things down the line as he becomes more and more optimized. The last thing that I'll mention, and you probably noticed by watching this video, I've never gotten this many perfect KOs before. This character's offense is insane. That's all I've got for now. I hope you've enjoyed. See you in the next one.